She's a beacon for the soul lost at sea. With her hand pressed in your hand, now it's alright. She is the one in a million. She's the one. She's the one who's been waiting for a friend to touch her soul. Now that she has held you, she will never let you go. She's the one you've been needing, though you could have lost your way. But every step you've taken has brought you here today. As a child, she would whisper in the moonlight, "Oh, Father, bring him safely home to me." In her heart, she knew that love would someday find you. She is the one in a million. She's the one. She's the one in a million. She's the one to be your bride, to stand and face the faces of this world by your side. Through the lean and the plenty, through the tasting of tears, may the love you're both feeling feed you through the hungry years. Oh, she's the one you've been waiting for your whole life. She's a beacon for the soul lost at sea. With her hand pressed in your hand, now it's alright. She is the one in a million. She's the one. She is the one in a million. She's the one. She's the one in a million. She's the one.
Hello, welcome to another New Moon New Music. I think this is number 18 for us, and we're still rolling along. And the subject of this month will be a great musician, good friend, good dude, named Casey Driessen. And Casey is just a mega fiddler cat. Many styles. And each one he has a mastery in there, and he's not just kind of flubbing around. It can be swing, it can be old time, it could be full-on country like old style, bluegrass hot as fire, avant-garde crazy improvisation. He's got every bag covered that can be. Anyway, I'll talk more about him, but I want to start with the first time I ever met Casey. I think he was 18. I think he was almost coming out of high school. I think it was April that we were at Merle Fest, where we met in year 2000. And I think maybe that next May or June he was graduating and going to Berkeley. And what I remember about meeting Casey was he's still in high school, for one, and then he's going over to Berkeley. But the other thing that I remember, and we talked about it that night, was I have no idea why the subject came up, but that he had made an agreement with his dad about if he didn't drink or dope at the end until he was 21, that his dad would give him $1,000. And Casey did it. I mean, this is kind of hard to believe in one way, but in another way, that's how kind of direct. And I think when Casey gets his mind on something, he gets after it. And he's that way in photography. He's that way in food and cooking, and designing, parts of his house or studio or this or that. He kind of gets after it. And so I can see where Casey Driessen didn't drink and dope until he was 21. He might have made up for lost time. I don't know. We'll have to ask him. But to me, I thought that was amazing that he made that agreement with his dad and held to it. And it became, and you can understand why his dad would do that. And you kind of understand why Casey going straight ahead and being focused would do that. And he made music in his studies, not compromised by fooling around with drugs and drinking and stuff. Um, just another quick story. The first time I had Casey over to do a session for me, um, let's see, he came to the house and I was making French fries from scratch for the first time. Um, and he showed up about when the fries were done, and so we had a food connection, and so we still have that food connection, he and I. And But that was our first time now at a session and stuff. So flash through the years, I'd call Casey on anything. My dad's records, Wayne Scott records, would always have Casey. If it had a fiddler, I wanted Casey. Uh, on demos of mine, if I'm going to have a fiddler, I'm going to get Casey. And we'd done stuff with Tim O'Brien. Um, and just, any chance I got to play with Casey. Sometimes we've done live stuff. Sometimes we've just get up on stage with no rehearsal. I remember another Merle Fest where I was doing something in the, whatever the performing arts thing is called. There I am with a solo slot at Merle Fest. Casey Driessen is in the wings, and it's like, come on out here and we'll play the whole set. Like, no set list, let's just go. And then Jeff Coffin, who was at the time playing with Bela Fleck, who's now with Dave Matthews Band, just a killer player. And he was in the wings, and I was like, hey, Jeff, would you come out and join us? I don't know what we're going to do, but who cares? And so that one was another memorable thing. So those are the kinds of things I can do with the players that I often play with. And Casey's one of those where we don't have to know what we're doing. We just get out there and we figure it out. There's nothing to be worried about. And Casey's one of those, you don't have to worry about anything. We just play and respond. And we've always had that, me and Casey. With Tim O'Brien, we played a fair amount with Casey. Sometimes it'd be trio or quartet or whatever. And then I was doing a lot of work with Tim, the two of us, duo stuff. Steve Earle had called Tim to put a band together to do some dates that with his bluegrass album, The Mountain, I think it was called. Anyway, Dale McCurry and the band, the boys, the McCurrys recorded that album. They were the players on it and all that stuff. And then a really good album too, really good mashup of Steve and real deal bluegrass players. And anyway, whatever happened to where Dale didn't want to do, a month of the dates, maybe the styles or the lifestyles clashed or something, whatever. So Steve had to fill in some dates with doing this Mountain album thing. He calls Tim. Tim and I are doing a lot together. Tim calls me and says, hey, what should we do? Steve wants to put a band together. Well, let's have Casey. Absolutely. So there we got that. And then Dennis Crouch. I had done a session with Dennis, and I told Tim, like, hey, Dennis is the stuff. This is who we want. Solid as could be, the old country style. So there was our band all of a sudden with, in essence, one phone call or two. And so we went on and did those dates, and then turned out over the next few years, whenever there was, Steve Earle wanted to be a little on the bluegrass Dukes side of things, we were his band. I would play banjo and dobro, basically, and sing baritone. Casey was always on fiddle, and one time when he wasn't, his replacement was Shad Cobb, and so that's the level of these players. So the next track I'm going to play for you is a Steve Earle and the Bluegrass Dukes is what he called us. You'll hear Casey, you'll hear me, you'll hear Dennis Crouch, Tim O'Brien, and us doing a great Graham Parsons song live somewhere. I have no idea where. It could have been Hardly Strictly, but another side of Casey with the Graham Parsons song. Here you go.
from my draft board. With trembling hands I read the questionnaire and asked a lot of questions about my mama and my papa. That ain't exactly what I call fair. So I'm headed for the nearest foreign border. Vancouver might be just my kind of town, 'cause they ain't got the kind of law and order that tends to keep a good man underground. Soldier once told me a story about a battlefield that he was on. He said a man should never fight for glory. Well, I guess he knows what's right and what is wrong. So I'm headed for the nearest foreign border. Vancouver might be just my kind of town, 'cause they ain't got the kind of law and order that tends to keep a good man underground. I owe my uncle. I expect that it's more than I can pay. He's asking me to sign a 3-year contract. I guess I'll catch the next bus out today. And I'm headed for the nearest foreign border. Vancouver might be just my kind of town, 'cause they ain't got the kind of law and order that tends to keep a good man underground. And I'm headed for the nearest foreign border. Vancouver might be just my kind of town, 'cause they ain't got the kind of law and order that tends to keep a good man underground.
So from his first solo record called 3D, I got to play on 2 or 3 tracks, and at that time, Casey seemed to cast, hear this player or this mandolin thing or this percussionist on that 3D record. So it had more in, Jerry Douglas was on it and stuff like that, but more like a song or two. The next album has a different approach, which I'll talk about. But I'll play for you a track called Sugarfoot Rag. And it's an old Nashville song. It's been played around a lot. Chet Atkins did it. Everyone's done it. It's just a standard and sort of as an instrumental, but it has lyrics too. And so Sugarfoot Rag was written by Hank Garland. Hank Garland was top legendary Nashville musician. I don't know how far back, 40s, 50s, maybe into the early 60s. I'm not quite sure on that. But he wrote an instrumental called Sugarfoot Rag, which is a standard. And Hank Garland was a jazzer, full tilt. But he was doing Nashville sessions. So in that Nashville studio musician heritage, the players can do anything. It's still that case. And it was that case, with Hank Garland back in the day. He'd make a jazz record and he'd also play with Hank Thompson or something, full tilt country stuff. So this is written by Hank Garland, and this is Casey retooling a standard song. He's done that a lot on his recordings. You take a standard and you just revisit it, you reharmonize it, you invented. And so here's, and I'm on the guitar on this. I think I'm on electric. Victor Krause, I do believe, is on bass. So have a listen to this, Sugarfoot Rag, Casey Driessen's first record called 3D.
I'm gonna get out my sycamore, shine up my shoes, meet my baby and tell her the news. I bet my bundle on a swayback nag and came home a winner with a plenty of swag. A 1 foot, 2 foot, slew foot drag and swing my honey to the Sugarfoot Rag. We'll dig a little jig and then a zig and a zag and listen to the fiddle play the Sugarfoot Rag. Jug of cider and a bottle of wine. One's for my honey and the other end's mine. We'll sip on the cider and we'll sip on the wine. Then we'll both sip together and we'll have a good time. Gonna spend my money and get on a jag and swing my honey to the Sugarfoot Rag. We'll walk right up and stomp on the floor. Swing up the middle with the shoe fly for while the guitar picks out the Sugarfoot Rag. Pick the Sugarfoot Rag. Step, 2 steps, 2 step drag. Listen to the fiddle play the Sugarfoot Rag. Dig a little jig and then a zig and a zag and swing your honey to the Sugarfoot Rag.
Okay, so let's run on to his second record. And there's a tiny history there, or at least partial, of his name of his second record. It's called Oog, O-O-G. I believe that's the word I in either Dutch or German or something. O-O-G, and it's the I. So the little story on that, Casey and I were in Holland, and I was just doing 2 or 3 shows, and it was like, I caught up with him in Scotland, and it was like, what are you doing next week? Oh, nothing. Come with me to Holland. So we go to Holland and do a duo for a few nights here, there, and yonder. And on one day we went to the MC Escher Museum in Holland. It might have been Utrecht or The Hague or something like that. It was in Amsterdam. And we were both really just turned on by Escher and went to that museum. And one of his famous paintings is called Oog, I. And so that's where the title of Casey's record came from. That night we played a show in the same town, I guess it was The Hague. And Casey said, I said, somehow we said, hey, you know what? We went to that museum today. Let's let that visit to the museum inform our set tonight. So let's play in an Escher style. That's really what the pretense was. And so we did things, outside the box that night. And it was fun, and I can do that with Casey. We just, someone will come up with an idea and off we go, and we go ahead and do it, or try to. So that's where the title of his next album called Oog came from. And on Oog, he tightened up instead of so many musicians, like on the first record, he held it to 4 musicians. And I was one of them. Matt Chamberlain was on drums. Matt is just a tremendous player. Victor Krauss was on upright bass. Casey, of course, doing his fiddle. And then Casey had me as pedal steel and electric guitar. And in many ways, I tried to talk him out of hiring me on pedal steel because we're in a town where the best of the world is there, and I'm not among that. I wouldn't hire me on pedal steel back in the day. I live in a town where the best are. Why don't I call the best? But I couldn't talk him out of it, and so I'm on steel on some of this, and very challenging stuff. But I'm fighting for my life, trying to be worthy of the call that I got to play on Casey's record on an instrument that I really didn't play that much any longer. But that's what we did, and that's the way Casey is, and I guess that's how I am eventually. And so let me play for you this thing called Rose Tea Waltz that's on this Oog record. And I'm on the pedal steel, and I'm pretty sure this is one of Casey's tunes. Rose Tea Waltz. I could talk on a lot about Casey, you know, stories or how he came to town. So once he did graduate Berkeley, he met up with a wave of great musicians who had gone to Berkeley, and they all moved to Nashville at the same time, rented a house in south of Nashville, and they all were in that house. So I think it was like Matt Mangano, who's now with Zach Brown Band, and Matt played with me for years. We'd do gigs with Casey and me and Matt and stuff like that. I do believe Luke Bulla was part of that house that they rented too, a great fiddler as well. Oh, who else was in there? Bryn Davies was part of that Berkeley College time, but I don't think she was in that house, but she could have been. But there was this wave of Berkeley acoustic musicians who came to Nashville kind of like on the same day practically. And Casey was part of that wave of cats, and that was probably early 2000s, maybe 2004, 5-ish. And I played with all those people. So when that wave came in, we in the town of acoustic musicians was like, look at these new young folks. Let's play with these folks. So that happened, and so anyway, I could go on and on with stories, but I want to play music. So let's go to that. So on this Oog record, again, very many styles. That's the other thing about Casey on his own solo records. It's running the gamut. Of fiddle, it's not just old-timey, or it's not just bluegrass or Texas swing or grappelli. It's everything. So I'm going to play for you a tune here that I'm on, I guess a hollow body acoustic guitar, maybe an old jazz style something, because the tune kind of called for it. So have a listen to this. I'm pretty sure it's a tune of Casey's as well. It's called Hunt for the Quail Egg. And it's kind of a swing thing. And again, we got Victor Krause, we got Matt Chamberlain, we got Casey, and we got me on this thing called Hunt for the Quail Egg. Okay, one other little thing I'll tell you about Casey. Um, well, he was from Chicago, and then went to Berkeley, so there's Boston based, and then came to Nashville, and played with, you know, the best of the best of Nashville stuff, bluegrassy and otherwise. And then he went to Spain to, I think, be the leader, the dean, or the something of an extension of Berklee College of Music in Europe, particularly in Spain. And if I'm right, Casey was the head of that thing, and it was for several years. So he was not in the Nashville scene. He was not in, you know, in the U.S. He was in Spain. So there's the food. He's getting the food. He's wide open musically, and he's pursuing that road instead of just staying in town and being a bluegrass call or a session guy. He's always moving forward. And so for several years, he was out of the circle of hiring him for gigs or sessions and stuff. And then he was over there running the Berklee thing. And I don't know if that was 4 years, 6, 8, I have no idea. But he did that and kind of added more of a world view into his music by having world musicians through the Berklee program, but he did other things too. If you open the can of worms of Casey Driessen, you're going to see somebody who has gone their own path and gone, you know, full tilt, and kind of a continued focus. Like if an 18-year-old promises his dad he's not going to drink till 21, and he pulls it off, that's the same guy who's still rolling forward. And so, for example, Casey runs his own fiddle camp up in Brevard, at that great music spot up there. And it's getting better and bigger all the time. He brings in the Daryl Angers and the, you know, the great other fiddlers and stylists and this and that. So he's going forward in that way, and he lives in Asheville, North Carolina. So, I mean, what I want to underline is he's doing his own thing, and he's not just waiting around in Nashville for someone to call him. So he's really just, I admire that about him. He's got his own thing going on. What I'm going to end with is, while Casey was working on his house in Asheville, like this, actually making a studio or designing it or something, or he had a hammer, and somehow, and I think a sledgehammer, and he was doing something with it, and it bounced or did something and hit one of his fingers and messed up one of his fiddling fingers, a pretty important one. So this is Casey again. So let's say it was that finger or this one. He reshifts all the years of playing. That's usually this, and it's only this now because this one's in a cast or something. That's what Casey Driessen does. He's like, oh, I have to play with these fingers now. He'll shift, and there's, you know, a physical learning curve there, but he's the kind of spirit that just says, this is what I got to work with, let's go. So what I'm going to end this segment or this episode with is, Casey and I hadn't played in a long time, but I knew that Casey was in town while I was doing a show at the City Winery. Actually, it was a Guy Clark birthday thing that I was doing a whole program of Guy songs, solo. But I thought I would end with the last song I played for Guy at his hospital, Vanderbilt. He'd have a little guitar pull around the hospital bed. And I was there visiting him, and I was asked to do a song. So what I did was White Freightliner Blues by his friend Townes Van Zandt, and I did it in my own way with, you know, extended solos and kind of getting after it type thing. So that's the last song I did at my Guy Clark memorial thing. And I asked Casey to join me. And so we're going to play you that video, and you're going to see Casey with his finger in a cast. I think it's this one. So he's had to reshift things to here. I think that's what it is. But you'll see it. So this is me calling him out. You know, we have no plan, we have no rehearsal, and he's got a finger in a cast. And this is what we pull off together. So I wanted to end with that, just to show you again what this guy's made of. He's missing a finger thing. He shifts and does the best he can with his double stops and all that stuff. That's Casey Driessen. So this is what we did on that, and we'll say good night after this. I want to thank Abraham Scott for continuing the editing, recording, and all that stuff that he does. Bill Bost, we're at his house right now, for providing some of the audio, like the Merlefest Midnight Jam thing. And I guess down the road we go. And Casey, I'll see you sometime. But I just wanted you all to know a little bit more from my perspective of Casey Driessen. And really what I'm being specific with is my run-ins with Casey. I'm not playing the other things because I wasn't there. I'm trying to let you know about the stuff that I did have some information about. And I could do another whole episode on Casey, but I guess I'll wrap it up with that. And maybe Casey and I will do some cooking and we'll videotape that. How's that? Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Daryl Scott, and this is New Moon New Music.
And I want to get my friend Casey Driessen on the fiddle to join me on this. Would you make him welcome? Casey Driessen. Listen to their big trucks whine. I'm going out on the highway and listen to them big trucks whine. Oh, white Freightliner, won't you steal away my mind? Got some bad news from Houston, half my friends are dying. I just got some bad news from Houston, half my friends are dying. Oh, white Freightliner, won't you steal away my mind? Steal it away, steal it away. Treat you fine. They treat you fine. Clovis, New Mexico ain't bad. The women there, they treat you fine. Oh, white Freightliner, won't you steal away my mind? Steal it away, steal it away, steal it away. Well, I was talking to this preacher. Said God was on his side. I wonder which one. Then I was talking to this pusher. They both were selling highs. Highs. Well, you gotta tell some story. I don't know the reason why. Why? Are you ready for the country? Are you ready for me? Are you ready for the country? Ain't I a sight to see? Steal it away with your white freight liner blue. White freight liner blue. Won't you steal away my, steal it away with your white red liner blue. My friend Casey Driessen.
That's Daryl Scott.
Happy birthday, Guy Clark. We have the songs. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.